Here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts. Hey, Pete, ever wonder what Steven Spielberg's favorite film is?
You know, Andy, I've heard he loves classics like Lawrence of Arabia, Meet Me in St. Louis.
Imagine chatting with him about why those films resonate with him so much.
That's exactly what we do on our podcast, Movies We Like. We've had incredible guests like actress Dee Wallace, cinematographer Eric Messerschmidt, director Steve Miner, and former Disney animators Tom and Tony Bancroft.
They share their favorite films and the impact they've had on their careers, offering fascinating insights into the craftsmanship and storytelling techniques that make these movies so special.
If you're curious about the magic behind the scenes, subscribe to Movies We Like from True Story FM on your favorite podcast app. New episodes are released on the fourth Monday of each month with early access for our members.
Join us on Movies We Like as we explore the movies we all like with the people who make them.
And Stephen, our people will call your people. Let's make this happen, puppy.
Subscribe today.
Ever wonder where the devil got his horns?
How about those cloven hooves?
Or that pitchfork?
Wasn't he an angel?
No, he was a snake.
No, he's the great red dragon.
No, he's the beast.
He's the prince of this world.
Prince of darkness.
Well, he's the prince of dark.
Good morning, star lovelies. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, The Devil's Details. What comes to mind when I say Lucifer?
How about Satan?
What about just the devil? How did the big bad of the Western world end up with so many faces? Join us as we dig up, decipher, and deconstruct the devil's many forms throughout history.
Take a guided tour with Dante through the 9 circles of hell.
Or revisit Satan's angsty bad boy years in Paradise Lost.
Learn the ins and outs of a Faustian contract.
Easier than a 1099, but with a hell of a lot more fine print.
Slither on over to The Devil's Details on True Story FM and join us in the diabolic discussion.
Love and hisses. Mwah! Didn't Al Pacino play him in a movie?
Are you sure that wasn't Robert De
I could
Niro?
have sworn it was Tim Curry.
That was Elizabeth
Didn't
Hurley.
he go down to Georgia at some point?
Hello and welcome to Gank
That
Drank. Ooh, yours was so much louder than mine. A supernatural drinking game podcast. It's the podcast where we recap an episode of Supernatural for you. We play along with drinking game rules, and then at the end, we tell you how the drinking game rules played out, whether they were good rules, whether it was a good drinking game, and then at the very end we tell you what's up next. So if you want to watch the next upcoming episode, you can do your homework and play along with the drinking game before the episode comes out. That's what we do.
Person listening to their first episode who doesn't know what the rules are yet and is gonna have to stop and go back and watch the episode before listening to the rest of this episode.
Well, who's that talking?
Oh, this is Nate McWhortor. I am this is weird. I'm the performer and teacher at the neighborhood comedy theater. And
Yes,
who is
you
that
are.
introduced us?
Oh, that's Krissy. I'm one of the directors and a performer at the neighborhood comedy theater in downtown Mesa, Arizona.
Arizona.
This is how we all talk. in
Jackie
Arizona.
Daytona, regular new human bartender.
Bartender. Oh, we've got a good one coming up tonight. I'm excited. It's your episode.
Yeah.
And
It's my
I've
episode.
got some thoughts
Good.
on this episode about some things that come up.
I'm glad you do, because that's the whole point of me doing this episode is like we're gonna start talking some real supernatural talk, like some for real talk now. We've done a lot of Monsters of the Week. We love the Monsters of the Week. Those
We
are the
love
best. You get the best drinking games out of them. They're the best. However, I want to start talking Chuck, because I think Chuck is such obviously an integral side character who becomes a main character. But I want to watch his journey. I want to venture through the journey that is Chuck in this show. We've already done one Chuck episode, I believe.
We did the one where they go to the book convention.
Yes. Yes. Because I just rewatched that episode recently, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we have done Chuck before."
Yeah.
But I think that's the only Chuck episode we've actually done.
It is.
I don't think we've done any others, so this is only our second one on our show. talking about Chuck, and when we get and I'm gonna try to take us through every Chuck episode for the most part. Once we get to that one, we'll probably do like a recap. Maybe we'll do a mini episode where I play the game that we designed for it before and like we re-talk about it. Who knows?
Okay.
Well, that would be the next episode because I think it's the second episode of Chuck.
Yeah.
It's the second or third.
Back.
I think it's I think it's the third because I think there's one where Becky gets introduced first and it's through Chuck. So there will be, but I think we maybe have done that one too. Anyway, we'll get to it.
We did do the one where Becky at the end is like, didn't you know that Crowley has the...
Yeah, that's the same one with the convention.
Right.
Yeah, that's the same episode. But there's an episode where, because that episode starts with Becky stealing Chuck's phone to text the boy.
Right.
We get introduced to Becky before that episode, and we get introduced to her through Chuck. So
okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll do that one next. That's going to be the next episode that I did. Not next. But like one after this is probably
like
going to be that
episode.
Soon. Yeah, coming soon will be whatever the title of that episode is. I can't think of right now. But we're talking this episode. We're talking Monster at the End of This Book, season 4, episode 18, aired April 2nd, 2009. Directed by Mike Roll. That is the episode we are talking today. We are at the back end of season 4. Season 4 is where we've been introduced to angels. Yeah. Season 4 is where Sam is running around with Ruby, drinking some demon blood.
He's drinking that demon blood.
Ruby has convinced him that is the way that he's going to take out Lilith and stop the apocalypse from coming, because Lilith is breaking all of the seals to let Lucifer out of his cage in hell, and thus starting the apocalypse. Ruby has convinced Sam to drink the demon blood to be able to defeat Lilith, and Sam's using all his like psychic-y, demon-y powers to get rid of demons, and so he thinks he's justified. And there's a big point of contention between Dean and Sam. It's like unspoken. We get a little bit of it in this episode, so that's where we're at in the world of Supernatural. We do not get a then sequence in this episode. There is no then. We get right into this one. But
jump right in.
Before we jump right in, Krissy, we got to talk about what our drinking game rules are.
Yep.
So here they are. Our first one is agent names.
Love it. It's a favorite.
It's always good. Our second one is supernatural, like quote, anytime someone says supernatural. Anytime someone says number one fans or biggest fans or just like big old, like, yeah.
I counted it as anyone talking about fans in general.
Fans in general, yeah. Anytime there's a book or author reference or a tour, take a drink. Anytime we get a Chuck vision, take a drink. Take a drink when the boys use therapy words. And take another drink when the boys argue. And then we're always playing the Sammy rule, which I didn't say in the last episode.
Sammy!
But you should know we're always playing the Sammy rule.
We're always playing Sammy. We're always playing Gank.
Always playing Gank. And honestly, sometimes I think we should just always play Supernatural too, because I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Anyway, those are the rules. And Krissy, are you ready to get into it?
Oh, I'm ready, baby. I'm ready to get into this.
Well, normally we would be like, but there's nothing like that at the beginning. We just get right in. We're cold open on a Chuck who is we have never met before. Is a strange man. Nope. We don't know who this person is, and he's tossing and turning on the couch, and he's having these visions. And then we cut to the boys. Well, we cut to a comic book store, and the boys entering. So we're taking a drink for Chuck's visions right away. Bam. The boys
right
enter.
Off the top.
Yeah, right off the top. The boys enter and give their agent names, which are, I wrote them down somewhere. DeYoung and what was it? Oh shoot, they're from Styx. That's all I remember. As I looked up who they're from. And it Styx. DeYoung and Shaw. That's what it is. DeYoung and Shaw. So we're taking a drink for the agent names. They're talking to an awesome. This guy is so good as comic book guy. Totally not cool, man.
Yeah.
And he's they're asking him all sorts of questions, the usual questions. Cold spots. Did you smell sulfur? What's going on? And he's like, wait, are you guys LARPing? Which is funny because I think when we get to LARPing the real girl, they're like, Dean's like, what's LARPing? And it's like, but you totally have been told what LARPing is before.
Yep.
Anyway.
He's been told what LARPing is several times because
several
there's
times,
LARPers in the convention
Correct.
episode too.
Mm-hmm. So the comic book guy is like, oh yeah, you guys going around using like fake, or you using like rock and roll names, pretend to be FBI agents, hunting ghosts and vampires and stuff. That's just like these supernatural books that weren't that popular. And the boys are like, supernatural books that were, what are you talking about? And he's like, right this way. I've got a whole corner of supernatural books that weren't that popular.
And they're in the bargain bin.
They are in the bargain bin. There's also a supernatural comic book cover from one of the actual supernatural comic books, which like explores John in his early days of hunting with the boys on the road. So that's a cool like nod. And
cool, I didn't notice that.
I only read about it on the wiki. I noticed it, but I noticed it as being like a comic. I did not know that it was actually the supernatural comics. I knew that obviously they existed, but I did not know until I read on the wiki. Because I watched this episode 3 times recently. So
I watched it twice.
Yeah. So the boys, they're kind of taken aback because this guy's telling them, "Oh, here's all these books," and now they go take them home and they're reading them and they're like, "Holy cow! This is word for word. This is our lives." Right? They crack open the first one in the comic book store, and it's all that first step at the pilot, the woman in white on the side of the road, right? And so the covers of these are incredible. The few covers that you get to see strewn about in the room as the boys are reading them are delightful. And as the boys are reading them, we get this great conversation between the boys of like, I don't get it. There's Sam girls and Dean girls, and then there's Slash fans. What are Slash? As in Sam/Dean. Dude, they know we're brothers, right? Doesn't seem to matter. There's so many
and
great
I love the
little
part where
moments.
Dean's like, I'm full frontal in this, dude.
Yeah, and so the boys they're reading about themselves. We'll talk about rules at the end, but I definitely, a rule I probably should have created was anytime one of the boys says their own name in this episode. Yeah, that's definitely a rule I should have done that. And then there's another rule that I should have put in there that I'll get to. But yeah, so the boys do some reading. They're like, okay, we got to find out who this author is, how he knows so much about us, what the heck is going on. And they go and they talk to the publisher, and the publisher is like a huge fangirl, like super duper fangirl. She's trying to protect both the integrity of her boys from Dean and Sam, who are posing as like journalists writing an article about Supernatural, and she gives them like a pop quiz on all like different stats, including Sam's LSAT score, which is so funny. Yeah, so she's kind of weary of them, and like, what are you trying to do? She's like, these things never took off. I really wish they would have, though. I love this whole scene. Just this whole scene with the publisher, and I'm a little bummed that this is the only scene that we get with her. I kind of wish we would have had more scenes with her.
She's really cute and funny, except I think there might be a continuity error in this part.
Oh yeah,
because at one point the boys show their anti-possession tattoos, but and Sam's is on his upper shoulder, but I think Dean's is on his lower stomach.
Oh,
I might be wrong.
Huh.
But I think that like in pictures and stuff, when they're like showing sexy pictures of the boys,
yeah,
I think Dean's is on like his lower stomach.
Oh, I guess I didn't think about that. I'm trying to see if there's anything on the continuity on the wiki that confirms this. But I believe you. Is that
Okay,
where is
I'm
that like?
not.
Because I could have
I'm
sworn.
not 100%.
Okay. Well, I like that this publisher references changing channels
Mm-hmm.
when she says it's no Dr. Sexy MD, or she's like most of the stuff that gets written is Dr. Sexy MD, which is hilarious. I just caught that like on the last watch through. I was like, what a great reference. That's so amazing. They're
Mm-hmm.
so good.
Okay, I'm wrong. It is on his shoulder.
Okay, I was wondering.
Sorry. I don't know how I could have possibly gotten so misled.
Who knows? Maybe there's a demon trying to lead you the wrong way.
Yep.
But either way, the boys are able to get the name of the actual author. His name is Chuck Shurley, and like they're gonna go talk to him. And then we see Chuck. Chuck is writing about the boys. Yes, my cat. I love her so much as she meows.
She was like, Dane's shoulder is on his Dane's tattoo is on his shoulder. Shut up, Krissy. You don't know what you're talking about.
So the boys go and they see Chuck, who is somehow, some way managed to write himself into the story. Oh no. And he of course is very dismissive of them at first, which I'm like, you literally just wrote that they were coming to visit you. Why would you?
Yeah. Why are you surprised when they
these
come
two
visit
guys
you?
at this very second come and are like, hey. And of course, I guess this is then the point where we're going to jump into this.
Okay.
This is all Chuck fuckery. Yes?
Well, that's what I was wondering, because I was always had under the impression that Chuck wasn't God until later.
Really? What?
But
is
I guess
because
I don't know.
I
I
just imagine
guess
that
he must have
always,
been God the whole time.
because they almost basically come out and say it in this episode, in this scene, when the boys first meet him. And they're basically telling him, you have got our lives down pat, like completely laser focused. How are you doing this? Every little small detail about our lives, you are completely nailing. And he's like, oh my God, all those things I put you through. I sent you to hell. I did this. I did that. Oh my gosh, I must be a god.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I'm a
like,
cruel and capricious
and I'm
God.
cruel and capricious. And like, and I honestly, even like, maybe it's just after, maybe it's bias after what happens in the story, but like going back and watching this, you're like, Rob Benedict is doing such a good job of like playing this as if he is God, just kind of, he's Chuck fuckery. It almost is, it seems like he's playing it as like, oh, I'm such a big dummy. How could I do this? But obviously, I'm controlling all of this.
Right.
Even
he's a
from
prophet of the Lord, but he's the
where
Lord.
where the boys can't leave town later on when they're trying to like go left when the pages say go right or whatever. When they can't leave town because the bridge is out, I'm like, that is Chuck fuckery. That's not anything else but that. And
Right.
and that's why I wanted to get into this character in general, is because there's like all these episodes that he's in where it's like, if they were writing this, and I will admit, I am not like the biggest deep divey supernatural fan out there, and I have not gone to like read if the powers that be behind these stories, if they had this out from the beginning, or if this was something that got basically like retrofitted in the end.
Just read something on Quora.com that they didn't always know he was going to be God. They just liked Rob Benedict so much, and it unraveled itself as they went, like a good improv scene. They discovered it as they went.
Yeah. I just like I guess they had to have gone back in the seasons when they're thinking about revealing him as God and being like, okay, like we need to watch every single second and see if this actually plays out, if this lines up, if we can get away with this. And but again, man, going back to this episode, you're just like, how could this not have been the plan from the beginning?
Right. And that's good stuff right there.
It's
It may be accidental, but it's
beautiful stuff. Absolutely beautiful stuff. So, however it is, and this will be the debate, and maybe that's the drinking game that we'll put in for episodes going forward for all these Chuck episodes, is if you just can't tell if it's Chuck fuckery or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess that would be a fun rule to play, because he's just like, and he's playing it so well, like, oh, how could I do this to you? I'm so mean,
Mm-hmm.
and then as the ruse goes on and continues, which we'll get to, but like, so the boys, they're just like completely flabbergasted with Chuck at this point, and they're like, okay, which, by the way, back in the publisher scene, we got some number one fans or big fans.
Yes, we did.
Taking drinks for that. We've had Supernatural said a couple times, obviously, with like the names of the books and everything like that. I keep missing our drinks. But also, I want to point out, I know I'm like going way back, but when the comic book guys try to remember what the names are of the characters in Supernatural, he calls them Steve and Dirk and Sal and Dane. And I thought that was delightful. And I wonder if those were originally workshop names for Sam and Dean.
You can't take anyone seriously named Dirk.
Steve and Dirk. Dirk Winchester. I don't know. It kind of rolls off the tongue kind of well.
Dirk Winchester.
Dirk Winchester. So yeah, Chuck says, oh my God, whatever. Yeah. Then we get to... this is also where this is a conversation where we get the a good reference, author reference, where Chuck says, oh no, I went full Vonnegut on this one, and Dean says Slaughterhouse 5 or Cat's Cradle Vonnegut, to which Sam is like, what you read Vonnegut? And then he says more like Kilgore Trout Vonnegut, I wrote myself into the story. So Chuck then gets another vision as the boys drive away, and this vision is of Lilith and Sam. And so he calls the boys back, and he's like, oh my gosh, like you gotta, this is what happens. I just wrote this. These are the hottest pages off the press. The boys get them, and they're like, okay, we just got to do the opposite of everything that it says. So while they're sitting and eating at the diner, it says, no more bacon cheeseburgers for you, Dean. All right, I'll get a veggie tofu burger. And then we can't argue, which of course then they end up arguing. And the veggie tofu burger ends up being a bacon cheeseburger. And everything that the pages say is going to happen ends up happening, which is why the other rule I should have inserted into this game is the Spaceballs the VHS rule. Which is anytime the boys are like reading along with the pages, and then like the things are actively happening as they're reading them, or like when Chuck hands Dean the pages because he knew he was going to ask for him. So like, because there's a scene in Spaceballs where he's like, what do you mean? Like we're watching the Spaceballs, the VHS. Now. We're in now. When was then? This is that's the.
We just missed it.
So that's the rule that I feel like I also should have inserted in here, because there are great moments when they're.
Did you skip the laundromat
No,
scene?
I was just about to talk about the laundromat scene.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's when the boys get the pages from Chuck, and then they go to the laundromat. Is before they go to the diner. They go to the laundromat, and that's when we get the great scene of like Sam puts his gigantic darks. Into the
I wrote that down.
And you just called me a dick. Gotta admit he's good.
I love that scene because I love knowing that the boys do things like go to laundromats. Like, I just love those little slice of life moments that they don't
Yes.
include very often.
Right.
So I love knowing that they're like, well, we've got to go to the laundromat. I'm out of gigantic darks.
And not every motel they stay in maybe has a laundry facility or anything. So
Right,
yes,
exactly.
I loved it too. Yeah, so this is where the boys they come up with a plan. Left, go left when it says go right. They chuckle about Dean having to drive baby with a tarp flapping out the window like a crow's wings, and him seeing stars and scraping it, pink butterfly, band-aids, and all this. They're like, there's no way any of this is gonna happen. Well, maybe the details are wrong, but still, he doesn't. You think what do you say? You think he's been hitting home runs? You think he's gonna ground out at first now? So yeah, Dean's taken.
And it's like, by trying to avoid the things, they end up
doing
creating the things.
Right.
So it's very Macbethian.
Correct. So Dean takes Sam to a no-tell motel, which he thinks is the complete opposite of where they should be going. Because he's like, so it takes place in the Red Motel. So they're at a place called the Toreador, which, like, you got to see that coming.
Mm-hmm.
You got to just nothing with R-E-D even in the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go stay at a Days Inn. Anyway.
Yeah. Go to a La Quinta.
Yeah. There's none of those letters in there. You're good. So, yeah, and Sam's like, this is ridiculous. I'm not gonna like have sexy time with Lilith. Chuck is crazy. You're gonna lock me in here. And Dean is like, yeah, I'm gonna, and you're not allowed to do any research. And he takes his computer and he says, don't do any behave yourself. Don't do any homework and watch some porn.
Mm-hmm.
Which is my lesson learned. Use the magic fingers, put on some Casa Erotica, whatever. I love Casa Erotica references. Yeah, so Dean leaves Sam to be by himself, which again, if you're trying to do the opposite, don't leave Sam there. He's like, well,
don't leave Sam by himself.
What does it say you do? It says I drive baby around all day, so I'm gonna go park her. Or you could have just
parked
at the motel and stay there. This whole thing is like, Dean almost brought it on himself willingly as well, like but in vain attempts to not.
Right.
It was yeah, I thought that was interesting. And so we get to the Sam. Oh yeah, Sam parks his car. As soon as he parks it, he sees hooligans trying to break into it. As he goes to try to stop them, he gets hit by a minivan, which is a full-on van. It's not a minivan. It's like a full-on van.
Yeah.
Gets hit by a full-on van. And then we cut and we get Sam has called Chuck over, and Sam and Chuck have this powwow that's like, oh, do you know all of the things I've been doing? And Chuck is like, yeah, I do.
And it's not cool, bro.
Yeah, come on, man. You can't be doing that. Which, again, it's just, it's so, Chuck fuckery. So, yeah. There you get that scene. Then we get Sam or Dean as he's like coming to after being hit by the van and realizing that he's seeing stars. And then his car has got the back window blown out, or the baby has the back window blown out. And then he looks in the reflection of baby and he's got butterfly bandages on his face. It's all come true.
It's all come true.
Probably my favorite little detail in this episode, though, is as he drives off with the tarp flapping out the back window like the wings of a crow. There is a crow sound effect that plays.
There is?
Yes.
Oh, I totally missed that.
It's like, ah, ah, as he drives away with it flapping out. I had only noticed it on this last watch through and I died. I was like, that's better than the Supernatural comic. That's so good. It's so funny. I don't know why I love it so much, but I just did. It's brilliant. It's like little things. Also, the diner is called Kripke's Hollow Diner. So a little nod to Eric
Oh,
Kripke in
nice.
this episode. Yeah. So now Dean is like full on PO'd. He goes and confronts Chuck, and of course Chuck gets there. He's like, "I'm assuming you knew I was gonna be here," and he's like, "Yeah, pretty much." And so Dean is over it. He's fed up. You hurt baby. Now it's time to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's about to go after Chuck, Cass appears, says you can't hurt this man. He's a prophet of the Lord. Good God.
Yep. Literally.
Yeah. So that's a new wrinkle. And basically, Dean is like, okay, well, what do we, huh? What do we do? What do we do? Dean's just like thrown for a loop. And basically it's like, yeah, no, all the stuff that he says is gonna come true, including the Lilith stuff, and there's nothing Cass can do about it at all. And
Yeah.
Dean is like, Cass, why can't you do anything? He's like, because it's the divine word, I can't interfere, I can't intercede. However, here's something I do know. If you take Chuck and he's in the same room as Lilith, an archangel will come and get rid of Lilith, and then you don't have to worry about Lilith. Because
Okay, which is the big part that I had trouble with. Because they basically create this thing where like Chuck can never be in danger, where a prophet can never be in danger. And like, did they eventually undo that? Because Kevin
of
was
Kevin
in danger
Tran?
all the time.
Yes, and was killed by demons.
Right.
Yeah, they have that totally. So I was thinking about this. I was thinking about that during this episode as well. And I guess, and I don't know for sure, and I guess I want to be better about watching her and having my canon down. But the only thing I can venture to guess is that after, because Kevin happens after Michael and Lucifer and everything, right? And Lucifer goes back down, and like, so my guess is the archangels just like stopped giving a shit about prophets. Maybe because they're basically like, screw the world and screw humans anyway. Because like, who are the archangels that are left to protect Kevin Tran after Michael?
I don't know.
Because I'm assuming it was
remember.
Michael. It probably wasn't Gabriel protecting Chuck. But or here's again Chuck fuckery. It wasn't an archangel at all.
It was just Chuck fuckery.
It was just Chuck fuckery.
Well, we never got to see them, so we'll never know.
No, because archangels are next season. Archangels are season 5. This is season 4 still. We're just learning about angels and that they're all dicks. So Sam goes back, Dean goes back to Sam and was like, where's all the hex packs? He's like, he's like, I'm going to confront Lilith, because this is the big bone of contention, the argument between them two. Sam wants to confront Lilith. We know exactly where she's going to be. We can take her out. I'm strong enough. And Dean is like, no freaking way, dude. We got to run. We got to get out of here. And so
I don't care if we got to swim. We're getting out of this town.
Right. And so that's when Dean's going to like leave, and then he doesn't. And Sam's like, I'm doing it. I'm sticking around. I'm taking her on. And then we have the whole Dean and Cass talk after that. And then that's when Cass tells him, like, if you bring Chuck, Lilith will poof. And so then we get the scene between Lilith and Sam, which is very interesting. And actually I really, really like a lot, because they do a really good job of setting up the finale for this season.
Right.
And Lilith is trying to make a deal with Sam and say, I will call off the breaking of the seals. I'll call off the whole apocalypse. Lucifer stay in his cage and rot. Everything will be fine. All it's going to do is cost you and Dean your souls or whatever. And yeah, that's all. And I go back to my baby blood, and everything goes back to the way it was. And Sam is like, okay, I'll do it.
Mhm.
After he like vainly like tried to trap her in a really shitty devil's trap at the very
Yeah.
beginning when she first walked in. And so then she's like, by the way, a deal with me isn't just a kiss. It's a whole lot more. Which seems like that doesn't seem right.
No, that's
That doesn't seem right at all.
yeah.
I bet you a kiss was probably fine.
Yeah.
Seems like Lilith is trying to get more.
She's being a little greedy.
Yeah. And the dental hygienist in here wants it bad.
Yeah.
So Sam then tries to like stab her, and that doesn't work. And then just at that moment, Chuck and Dean burst in, and Chuck is like, I am a prophet of the Lord.
I am the
And
prophet Chuck.
I'm the prophet Chuck. And she's like, no way. And then Archangel starts showing up, and then Lilith poofs, and the boys are left there with no Archangel and just with Chuck. And it's all, kind of meh. So we get the boys then in the car driving away, and they're arguing yet again. The boys argue quite a few times in this episode.
Mhm.
And also I love the moment when Dean does talk to Cass, and they have their whole thing. It's Dean praying, actually.
Yeah.
Which again just seems like Chuck fuckery, because he's praying and then Cass shows up. Cass is like, oh, prayer is a sign of faith. Cass sucks in season 4.
Yeah. Season 4 cast is no fun.
He's not fun at all. So that's and then we get the final scene is with Chuck and Zachariah, which this is the one scene I think in the whole episode that then throws it all out. Throws out, like, it goes, okay, maybe he's not God yet.
Because Zachariah tells him not to tell the boys what he's foreseen.
Right. And I guess it's like, why would we, the audience, be seeing this moment? So that's why I guess this one scene at the very end of this episode is what makes me believe that they, at this point, did not know they were going to have Chuck be God.
Right.
Because I don't think you include that scene. Because I don't think there's any reason to show it to the audience. The only reason you show it to the audience is because you're setting up the future of this story, I guess.
Right.
But like, if you're going with the premise of like Chuck is God from the beginning, he would have Zachariah show up and I guess have this moment with him. But like, there's no reason for us, the audience, to be seeing it. For that reason, I guess.
Well, I think obviously Castiel and Zachariah don't know that he is God.
Correct.
He's in disguise.
Yeah. Which obviously that, but I guess like, but why would Chuck summoning angels to come talk to him for the story, for the sake of narrative? I guess, and to tell an angel, and to tell Zachariah to not tell, but he's gonna then go do it. So I guess Chuck fuckery. And so that's season 4, episode 18. The monster at the end of this book. Which, again, the title alone makes you think that they knew the whole time
that he's a monster.
That Chuck is right, and I guess like the implication is that maybe Sam is the real monster at the end, right? That's like the kind of implication, but like,
or Lilith, because she's at the end of the story.
Yeah. But I really think it's an allusion to Chuck. It's really, that's what it's alluding to. This is one, this was in the trivia on the wiki. I think it's the first of a handful of episodes. Nobody dies in this episode.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so we couldn't have played that rule.
Well, tonight. The one I'm going to do next, only one person dies.
A son of a gun.
Because I was going to do that rule, and I ended up with only one check mark at the end.
Darn, kind of like some of these rules. Let's talk about them.
Let's talk about them.
All right, we only got agent names one time,
Mm-hmm.
but they were good agent names. I probably counted this wrong. I have 3 supernaturals.
I got 4.
4? Okay. I knew I probably missed one. Number 1 fans, biggest fans, we're big fans. I got 3 times.
I got 7.
7. Yeah.
But I was
Nice.
counting anytime someone was like, "It's great to meet a fan. I love to meet the
Oh,
fans.
I should have
You guys really are fans."
Book or author references. I have 5.
I have 8.
8. Oh,
Because I counted when he referenced like he's more of a Penthouse Forum guy.
Oh, I did not count that, but I did count the Shyamalan. That's worse than Shyamalan.
Mm-hmm. I counted that too.
Yeah, and then the Vonnegut references, and what were the other couple others? Obviously, you counted more than me.
Salinger.
Oh, Salinger. Yes, yeah, Salinger. Chuck Visions. I got 3 Chuck Visions.
I got 3 Chuck Visions.
All right. Our boys used the therapy words one time. That should have been our shot rule.
One time, yep.
For when they have their therapy words, they argue 3 times.
I feel very frustrated. Oh, I got 4.
4?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. And then we got 1 Sammy in there.
Sammy.
All right. So for that total, 5, 12, 23, 4, 7, 28 drinks.
I got 28 drinks. Yep.
Nice.
It was good. It was a great episode. I'm glad we did that one.
Me too. A little off the beaten path, but like really obviously introduces a very integral and huge part of the story. And also we forgot to mention all the great covers during the intro, the title card for this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Where they're all like shirtless and sexy. Yeah.
Bobby's like a total
smoke show.
Yeah, absolute smoke show. Looks like Sam Elliott. It's the GIF on the top of the wiki page. It's just that over and over. Mm-hmm. So Krissy, what's our next episode?
Okay, so we're just taking a little jaunt away from the episode I did last time. In fact, it's I think the next episode from the one I did last time. It's 2 episodes away from the one I did last time. We're doing season 5, episode 7, The Curious Case of Dean Winchester. Are you ready for the rules?
Yes.
Okay. Someone ages or de-ages rapidly. Take a drink.
Yes.
Someone says idjit or idiot. Take a drink. This is the big one. Drink when they drink.
Yep. I love this
take
episode.
A drink. Anyone calls someone a he witch or a man witch. Take a drink for chanting. Take a drink for the Sammy rule. Anytime Dean calls Sam Sammy, say Sammy and take a drink. And our shot or double drink is called faces, 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 faces. And those are our rules for season 5, episode 7, The Curious Case of Dean Winchester.
Nice. I love that episode. It's one of my favorites.
It's a great one.
I'm very happy you're doing it, and I'm glad I get to watch it again, even though I just watched it recently. I love it. So I'm excited to watch it and drink along with it and play along with these rules.
Yep. So here we are at the end. Thank you so much for listening. If you're still with us at this point, you can do a couple of things to support the podcast and help us keep going and give us some encouragement. You can rate, review, subscribe, all of the stuff that you know helps podcasts stay afloat. We appreciate that so much. You can also consider becoming a member on True Story FM. Just search for our podcast and you can become a member for just $5 a month. You get each episode a week early and with no ads. Not that there's, ads, but if there were ads, there would be no ads.
You wouldn't get them.
You wouldn't get
You'd
them.
never know if they started doing ads if you remember.
Yep. You get some extra bonus chit chat at the end of the episode, just some extra time with Nate and Krissy. And you get access to the True Story FM Discord channels where there's all kinds of discussion and fun, and you can be a part of the community there. So consider becoming a member. And Nate, where can they find us in the real world if they were so inclined?
If you want to find us in the real world, come on down to the Neighborhood Comedy Theater in downtown Mesa, Arizona. We do shows every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night at 7:30. There are other shows at other times. Check out NCT Phoenix for all those dates and deets and other information. And yeah, that's the real world part of it.
It sure is. And when you're out there in the real world, saving people and hunting things, the family business, keep the Gank That Drank motto in mind. Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.